On World News Tonight this Saturday, John F. Kennedy Jr. and his wife and his sister-in-law are missing and presumed to be dead. A search continues for his plane that disappeared last night into the sea off the island of Martha's Vineyard in the Atlantic Ocean. It was meant to be a day of celebration for the Kennedys, gathered at the family compound in Hyannisport, Massachusetts, for a wedding. It has turned into a vigil of deepest concern and prayer.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight, Saturday.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Peter Jennings. As part of our continuing coverage of the Kennedy disaster today, tonight members of the Kennedy family are keeping vigil in Hyannisport as rescue teams search for John F. Kennedy Jr., his wife, Carolyn Bessette, and her sister. When they left a New Jersey airport last night in Kennedy's plane, they were headed for Martha's Vineyard, where they were going to make a stop. Their final destination was intended to be Hyannisport, just to the north. Tonight, hopes are certainly waning. The search does continue as everybody prays for what the Coast Guard commander called a miraculous development. We're going to begin with ABC's Bob Jamieson.
The Piper Saratoga, a plane like this one, took off from Essex County Airport in northern New Jersey at about 8:45 last night. It headed for Vineyard Haven Airport. A family friend said John F. Kennedy Jr.'s wife, Carolyn Bessette, and her sister, Lauren Bessette, were on board with him. Kennedy has had his private pilot's license for a little more than a year. Pilot Kyle Bailey says Kennedy is a regular at the Fairfield, New Jersey airstrip.
I could not see who was flying the airplane. All I know is I saw John and Caroline get in the airplane. I do not know if there was anybody else on board.
ABC News has learned that radar shows the plane dropping suddenly from 2,200 feet to 1,300 feet, about 19 miles from the island airport. It disappeared off the radar screen after that. And tonight, the search has narrowed to Martha's Vineyard. The sweeping search involving up to a half dozen agencies, the Air Force, the Air National Guard, the Civil Air Patrol, the FAA, and the Coast Guard.
We have found debris, we have found luggage approximately 100 yards off of Gay Head Beach, and we're still pursuing an active search and rescue mission.
Indications are that the luggage belonged to Kennedy's sister-in-law. Also, a headrest, carpet, a wheel from the craft, and a sneaker were reported found on the island's western beaches.
There is always hope, but unfortunately, when you find certain pieces of evidence, you have to be prepared for anything that happens.
At the family compound in Hyannis, prayers for the passengers at a mass said this morning, as the family so familiar with tragedy waits. Bob Jamieson, ABC News, New York.
It's that wreckage, that debris that they're coming upon, that is the clue to the disaster. Some of the wreckage was found off the southwest corner of Martha's Vineyard. Planes would fly over this particular part of the sea on their way to the local airport, as President Kennedy's son was intending to do just before 10 o'clock last night. ABC's Bill Blakemore is at Martha's Vineyard tonight.
Debris began washing up on the sands here near Gay Head at the southwest corner of Martha's Vineyard. These southern beaches are roughly under a possible approach path of a plane trying to land at Martha's Vineyard Airport. Kennedy's plane was last seen on radar some 10 miles to the west of this point over open water. The last radar contact with Kennedy's plane showed the plane descending from 5,500 feet to 2,500, then to 2,200. But by the time the radar had swept around again, 12 seconds later, the plane had plunged 900 feet from 2,100 to 1,300. Apparently a precipitous dive, according to aviation experts. 1,300 feet was the last radar contact with the plane. It was also way too low for any approach path to an airport that's 19 miles away. The approaches to Martha's Vineyard Airport yesterday evening, according to pilots here, were complicated by misty conditions, though there is no indication yet whether the Kennedy's plane had encountered any adverse conditions. 20 aircraft and at least 2 boats continued to sweep the search area this evening. Also moving into the area is the Ruby, a ship equipped with special side-scanning sonar, which can produce detailed pictures of objects on the sea floor. The fear as time goes by is that is where the plane will be found. Nothing remotely like it has been spotted on the surface. Bill Blakemore at Gayshead, Martha's Vineyard.
There has been an awful lot of talk about this plane today. Last April, JFK Jr. bought the plane that rescue workers are searching for so intensely. And as ABC's Lisa Stark reports for us now, it is a small plane with a good record.
John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr. received his pilot's license in April of last year. He did his training at Flight Safety at Vero Beach Airport in Florida. The restaurant there boasts his autograph. Kennedy owned 2 planes. The first, a single-engine Cessna 182. Last night, he was flying his Piper Saratoga like this one. The single-engine plane was built in June of 1995. JFK Jr. purchased his red and white Saratoga used just 2.5 months ago, so presumably he had relatively little experience in the cockpit of this plane. Piper says the plane was equipped with all the modern instruments and had an emergency locator transmitter, but the Coast Guard said they never received a signal from this plane.
This airplane is a very stable aircraft. It's used in a lot of different operations for flight training.
When Kennedy and his passengers took off from Essex Airport, it was dusk. Visibility was 3 to 5 miles. It was hazy. Pilot Kyle Bailey saw the trio board the airplane.
It looked to me like he had a crutch, if I remember correctly, and he was limping. That's all I remember.
And a flight instructor on Martha's Vineyard who had flown with JFK Jr. in the past described him as a diligent pilot who loves to fly. As for conditions on the island last night...
Well, it was probably pretty dark. I don't think there was a moon out, and the visibility, as I say, was pretty low. It would have been a challenging flight for any VFR pilot.
VFR pilot, visual flight rules. That's how the flight was operating, not under instrument conditions. JFK Jr. was not rated for instrument conditions, but even with visual flight rules, as pilots have told us, it is very tough to fly a single-engine plane in the dark over the ocean, even for the most experienced pilot. Peter?
Thanks very much, Lisa Stark, who's been with us all day on this story. Still ahead on World News Tonight this Saturday. Continuing coverage of the search for John F. Kennedy Jr.'s missing airplane, and we'll go live to the Kennedy compound in Hyannisport.
This is World News Tonight, Saturday. Brought to you by Advil.
This is really something. You see this pain reliever? Nothing is proven to work better or last longer. Nothing. You see this one? For 14 years, people have counted on this for relief, and it's gentle on the stomach. And you may be surprised to learn that both are Advil. It's true. Nothing's proven to work better or longer than Advil. And millions of people can tell you it's gentle to the stomach. Strong, yet gentle. Advil.
The best way to cure athlete's foot so it won't come back is here. New Lamisil AT. It's so powerful, it does what no other brand can do. These take 4 weeks of treatment to kill the fungus. Lamisil AT is so powerful, with just 1 week's use, it stops the itching and burning and cures athlete's foot between the toes. So powerful, a clinical study showed 3 whole months later, users were still athlete's foot free. Now without a prescription. New Lamisil AT, the best way to cure athlete's foot fast so it won't come back.
Out here, I'm in command. So am I supposed to say, slow down guys, I'm constipated? I don't think so. You try to eat right, sometimes you can't. Harsh chemical laxatives, they can kick in whenever and wherever. Not an option. So I rely on doctor-recommended Metamucil. It's got 100% natural fiber. Works with my body, gently, which is important to a sensitive guy like myself.
Metamucil, the doctor's natural choice for regularity.
The scene in Hyannisport, Massachusetts is a familiar one to the nations. We have watched before as the Kennedy family has retreated into its compounds to deal with its tragedies. ABC's Charles Gibson is up there tonight. Charles.
Peter, as you mentioned at the top of the broadcast, this was to be a day of Kennedy celebration, not a day of Kennedy condolence. The wedding of Rory Kennedy was to be taking place right now as we speak. 275 guests to Mark Bailey, her longtime boyfriend. But after midnight and through the early morning hours, there was a realization by the family that something had gone terribly, terribly wrong. John Jr. and Caroline called their house at the compound last night to say they'd be in a bit after 10 to the nearby Barnstable Airport. But when they weren't in by 11, people began to worry. And by this morning, there was gnawing doubt. The wedding was canceled early today. Ethel Kennedy, the mother of the bride realizing early that there could be no celebration on this day. The mood among the gathered wedding guests as they walked the beach this morning was hopeful. It's just like John to stop somewhere, they said. Brian O'Connor, the family spokesman, tried to put the best face on things.
It's somber. There are a lot of children running around. That tends to lighten the atmosphere. And as I said, when families come together and greet each other, people are happy to see one another, but obviously there's a great deal of concern for the circumstances today.
Flags on the compound stayed at the top of the flagpoles. No one was thinking about lowering them and acknowledging tragedy. But with each passing hour, you could see in the faces of those coming in and going out of the compound that hope was waning. The tent inside, designed to house the wedding and reception, was due also to be the site of a morning mass. Instead, it became a prayer service of hope. John's sister, Caroline, the older child of President John F. Kennedy and Jacqueline Kennedy, was not here. She had not planned to attend the wedding. Rory, the bride-to-be, was the youngest child of Robert and Ethel Kennedy, born after her father was assassinated in 1968. She is no stranger to family tragedy. It was she who held her brother Michael as he died after a skiing accident last year. Though the wedding was canceled early today, ironically, flowers, party equipment, even wedding tuxedos to be worn by groomsmen kept arriving throughout the day. As much as possible, we are told, the Kennedys tried to keep the radios and the televisions turned off. But we do know that word is filtered in about the debris washing ashore on Martha's Vineyard, and the family knows all too well what that means. All too well, Peter.
Thank you, Charlie. Charlie Gibson in Hyannis tonight. He'll be with us on an 8 o'clock special Eastern time this evening. When we come back, we'll look out across the nation to see how the nation has been reacting to the day.
My dentures always fit fine. I never thought of them as a problem until I saw the video of my son's wedding. It was then that I decided to try Fixodent.
Because Fixodent adjusts to the unique contours of your dentures and gums, forming a thin, powerful seal for a better hold than you ever thought possible.
It was like a whole new feeling, so snug and secure. For once, I actually forgot that I even wore dentures. So now, I like what I see.
Find out for yourself what it feels like to Fixodent and forget it.
When I get a migraine, I just want to get rid of it. And I found a way to do it in one dose. One dose with Excedrin Migraine. Its special formula has been clinically proven to safely relieve migraine headache pain in just one dose. No other non-prescription medicine can say that. And Excedrin Migraine is the one doctors recommend most for migraine pain. So for relief in just one dose, there's one way. Excedrin Migraine safely relieves migraine pain in just one dose.
Boogie woogie, rumbling round, creamy, dreamy, rumbling round. It's got yogurt blended right in with the creamy taste of butter. You'll try again.
The goodness of yogurt, the creamy taste of butter with half the fat and calories. Must be Rummelin' Brown.
Say, would you just kind of smell that scent and tell me what you think?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How does it smell?
Yeah.
Fresh?
Yeah.
Clean?
It's actually
shampoo.
It's Earth shampoo. Can you believe that?
For heaven's sake.
It only takes a second to inhale.
When it comes to your health, never compromise, even when choosing a laxative. You need one that's strong enough to work overnight, but also gentle. Try doctor-recommended Dulcolax. It's both strong and gentle. It even has a special comfort coating to protect your stomach. In fact, doctors recommend Dulcolax most, more than Correctol and Senecot combined. Don't compromise. Get strong, get gentle, get doctor-recommended Dulcolax. And for strong and gentle relief in minutes, get Dulcolax suppositories.
Can Tiger Woods make a move from 4th place at the British Open? Can Justin Leonard win again from 5 shots off the lead? Unheralded Frenchman Jean Van de Velde the leader. The final round tomorrow morning at 9 Eastern on ABC.
President Clinton was told about this difficulty at about 7 o'clock this morning. The Clintons and many members of the Kennedy family are friendly, so he called a number of them, including JFK's sister Caroline and his uncle Senator Ted Kennedy. A reaction to word that the plane was missing was very strong and has been very far-reaching. ABC's Juju Chang has more about that.
In the trend-setting New York neighborhood that the young Kennedys called home,
News of his plane's mystery sparked small acts of sympathy.
Been through so many tragedies, one tragedy after another. It's just unbelievable.
Many who are too young to remember JFK's death are now deeply moved by his son's disappearance.
I hate that this is going to be a day that I'll always remember. I would rather, obviously not, but unfortunately I'll probably be telling my own children about this someday.
At JFK's gravesite, visitors stopped to say prayers for the Kennedys.
And I pray for him that the Lord will, find him safe.
In New York's Central Park, where JFK Jr. often exercised and played sports, people talked of what could have been.
If he was to go into politics, obviously he had the looks and smarts, evidently, and who knows what that could have brought. Maybe return to Camelot.
Vice President Gore summed up what many were thinking today when he wistfully called JFK Jr. an extraordinary man at the height of his career. Juju Chang, ABC News, New York.
There's been a similar reaction in other countries. The story of this missing plane has been front page and front broadcast news in Great Britain, Russia, Italy, and in Germany. When we come back, a life as he and his wife lived it.
It's time for your heartburn to kick in because your heartburn relief gave out. It happens 2 or more days a week, even though you've treated it and changed your diet. That frequent, persistent heartburn may be due to acid reflux disease, potentially serious.
It's Prilosec time. Time to see your doctor about prescription Prilosec. Your results may vary, but for many people, Prilosec provides 24 hours of complete heartburn relief with 1 daily dose. Ask your doctor for more information about Prilosec and if it's right for you. The most common side effects are headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. 24 hours of complete heartburn relief is possible. It's Prilosec time.
Why is it models always look 15? Wrinkles? Talked to her in about 20 years.
At the Pond's Institute, we don't give you hype, just results. Our age-defying lotion is proven to visibly reduce fine lines by up to 77%. Age-defying lotion, no hype, just younger-looking skin.
Nicoderm CQ, what brought this on?
Last night.
Dad? When the baby comes, leave the cigarettes at home, okay?
We didn't quit for our kids.
We didn't know what we know now. Look, I talked to some guys who quit. CQ helped them do it. The 3 gradual steps. You step down your dose. The doc says gradual's the way to go.
Nicoderm CQ, the power to calm, the power to comfort, the power to help you quit.
Wedding season is here, and isn't it nice to know there's one thing that will never let you down? Thompson's Wood Protector. For rain, sun, mildew, it's the most powerful Thompson's yet. You may now protect the deck. Thompson's Wood Protector. It never takes a day off.
Life's an adventure because you're over 50 and still exploring. So take the Centrum made just for you, Centrum Silver. With age-essential nutrients specially adjusted to keep pace with your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver. It's a great time to be silver.
John, as we knew him then, made a tremendous impression on the country when he was a child. He has known more adoration and certainly more sorrow than most. Here's ABC's Kevin Newman.
It was on his 3rd birthday that a restless John, as we knew him then, turned to salute his father's coffin as it went by. He had recently honored his father, too, by giving his first plane, not the one missing, a registration number using his father's initials and birthday, 529, May 29th, JK. There were happy memories, too.
He had this desk in the Oval Office, which belonged to a sea captain. And it was made from an American frigate. And I just remember the inside you could climb around in, and there were kind of cavernous spaces in it. And we used to go over
crawling inside?
Yeah, and just hanging out there. And he used to give us chewing gum because my mother didn't like us to chew gum. So we used to go over to the Oval Office at night, and he'd feed us gum under the desk.
After the assassination, hoping to give her children as normal an upbringing as possible, Jacqueline Kennedy moved John and his older sister Caroline away from Washington to an apartment in New York City. But once again, tragedy followed. The man who would become John Jr.'s surrogate father, Robert Kennedy, was also assassinated just months before John's 8th birthday. 4 months after that, Jacqueline Kennedy married Greek shipping tycoon Aristotle Onassis, and they moved the family to a secluded private island. but she bowed to pressure from the Kennedys, and John and Caroline completed their education in the U.S. Unlike his father, who went to Harvard, John Kennedy Jr. graduated in '83 from Brown University and later from the New York University Law School.
Good luck today.
The spotlight followed him everywhere, even on his first day on the job as an assistant district attorney in New York.
When I failed the bar exam, that was the New York Post had the headline, "The Hunk Flunk," so some of that I could actually do without.
He was always on the move, seeking new adventures. His father had once said, "A man does what he must, in spite of personal consequences, in spite of obstacles and dangers and pressures." Well, in spite of the press, John Jr. tried to live as normal a life as possible, last seen here in public Thursday at a Yankees game.
Ladies and gentlemen, meet George.
In 1995, he decided to join the ranks of the popular press by launching a magazine that covers politics. His mother, an accomplished editor, was at first lukewarm to George.
I think we showed her in mock cover, and she was a little skeptical. But I think that she had always encouraged both Caroline and I to make our own way, to not subordinate our own lives to the expectations of what we should do with our lives. And so in that respect, I think she got a kick out of it.
John Kennedy Jr.'s name came with a heavy burden, but in life, he has always chosen to bear it lightly.
People come up to you all the time and say, I got into politics because your father brought me in there, or, your Uncle Bobby meant an enormous amount to me, especially being from New York. And that's a great, very warming legacy to be a part of, and I'm grateful for it.
He is, in the minds of many, America's favorite son. Kevin Newman, ABC News, New York.
John Kennedy and Carolyn Bessette were married almost 3 years ago, and she was thrust into the most glaring spotlight. Here's ABC's Judy Muller.
When Carolyn Bessette married John F. Kennedy Jr., a family friend said, "Jackie must be smiling in heaven." Indeed, the 6-foot-tall Carolyn, with her elegantly simple sense of style, reminded many people of Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. A Roman Catholic whose parents are divorced, she grew up in the upscale community of Greenwich, Connecticut. After graduating from Boston University in 1988, she briefly pursued a modeling career, then worked as a public relations executive at Calvin Klein. Her wedding to the Crown Prince of Camelot on a secluded island off the coast of Georgia was a well-kept secret and left the gossip columnists scrambling for details.
I think you have to say the world's most eligible man is no longer eligible.
No sooner had they said their I do's than they had to beg the paparazzi, please don't. To the photographers who'd camped on the sidewalk in front of their Manhattan loft, John pleaded, please give Carolyn all the privacy and room you can. But despite the new bride's hopes for privacy, she soon learned what it means to be a Kennedy, to be in the public eye, to be part of an American legend. Carolyn has identical twin sisters, 18 months older than she. One of them, Lauren, was aboard the plane with her. The last time she'd been with the Kennedy clan was for the funeral of cousin Michael Kennedy, who died in a skiing accident. Carolyn had become very much a part of that family. Judy Muller, ABC News.
Somebody today referred to the Kennedy family history as the Trail of Tears. When we come back.
Got heartburn caused by acid reflux? Only Gaviscon forms a soothing protective barrier that keeps acid down. Pepcid AC and Zantac 75 can't do that. Gaviscon, it helps keep acid down where it belongs.
Boogie woogie, rumbling round, creamy, dreamy, rumbling round. It's got yogurt, blended right in, with the creamy taste of butter, you'll try again.
The goodness of yogurt, the creamy taste of butter with half the fat and calories must be Rummelin' Brown.
Itchy allergic rash? The dermatologist I work for recommends Cordate. It stops the itch and helps heal the rash to restore your skin. There's no brand doctors recommend more. In fact, doctors recommend Cordate more than 4-to-1 over Cortisone 10. Cordate, restore your skin.
When you buy a bargain basement PC, what you're really buying is a mystery box. Will there be a monitor? Probably not. Lots of software? Ha! A year on the internet, 24/7 tech support? Dream on. With a Gateway Essential PC, you know exactly what you're getting. monitor, great software, award-winning tech support, and internet access for $28 a month or less than $1 a day. No mystery there. Call 1-800-GATEWAY for a Gateway Essential PC with an Intel Celeron processor.
My feet are killing me.
You need new Podiasin Soak and Massage Gel. Only Podiasin dissolves in water for instant pain relief, then rubs into open pores for deep, lasting relief.
The pain is gone.
New Podiasin Soak and Massage Gel.
As the search for John F. Kennedy Jr. continues, stay with ABC News for up-to-the-minute coverage and join Peter Jennings for an ABC News special tonight at 8 Eastern. Coverage continues with updates throughout the evening and tomorrow morning on This Week from ABC News.
So many times down through the years, the Kennedys have been referred to as America's royalty. Very painful legacy to live with. Here's ABC's Beth Nissen.
John F. Kennedy Jr. was born into an extended family marked by such extensive tragedy that many see the clan as ill-fated, haunted, even cursed.
There has been a thread of tragedy through the Kennedy dynasty that has lasted 70 years or more.
At the head of that dynasty, Joseph and Rose Kennedy. 4 of their 9 children died tragically. Joseph Kennedy Jr. on a World War II bombing mission. Kathleen Kennedy in a 1948 plane crash. Hundreds of millions of people mourned the death of President John F. Kennedy after he was assassinated in Dallas in 1963. 5 years later, the world watched as Robert F. Kennedy lay dying, assassinated.
Senator Kennedy has been shot.
Joseph and Rose's surviving son, Senator Edward Kennedy, was critically injured in a 1964 plane crash. In 1969, he drove a car off a bridge on Massachusetts' Chappaquiddick Island. His aide, Mary Jo Kopechne, died. That happened 30 years ago this weekend.
Edward Kennedy, after the accident of Chappaquiddick, gave a national television address in which he wondered aloud whether there was some curse.
Whether some awful curse did actually hang over all the Kennedys.
That was 30 years ago. A lot worse has happened since then.
Happened to the next generation of young Kennedys. Robert Kennedy's son David died of a drug overdose in 1984. His son Michael died in a skiing accident in Aspen on New Year's Eve, 1997. He was 39.
These are all very young people, and it just multiplies the quotient of tragedy that you find in this family.
In the wake of JFK's assassination, Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis worked hard to keep her children safe. At Jackie's death in 1994, both John Jr. and Carolyn Kennedy seemed blessed with good health and happy families, untouched by grave misfortune or accident, until today. Beth Nissen, ABC News, New York.
That is our report on World News Saturday. Later this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, a 2-hour ABC News special on the missing Kennedy plane and the country's reaction to it. I'm Peter Jennings. Thank you for joining us.
It starts with fire and skillets of iron, with fillets of O'Charlie's famous USDA beef, the fork-cutting kind, fresh, tender chicken, sautéed shrimp, and linguine topped with marinated steak. Skillets served with a sauce of peppery spice, potatoes mashed in their own skins with bacon and cheese. For a plate full of fireworks we call Red Hot Sizzlers, only at O'Charlie's. Nice folks with a fresh approach to food.
Extreme style, extreme action. It's Extreme Mercury, with wild savings on all your favorite Mercuries, like the hot new 1999 Mercury Cougar. Right now, the fun-to-drive Cougar starts at just $16,790. You can get one well equipped for just $18,860. New Edge design, responsive handling, and extreme value. It's Extreme Mercury. See your Mercury dealer today and imagine yourself in a Mercury.
You're watching News 2, Emmy winner for overall news excellence.
Your local Ford dealer for 4.9 on F-150.